we call our clients transformers, by the way. We
Ah,
affectionately call them our transformation nation because they really do. They transform their mind, their body, their spirit, their marriage, their business. Everything transforms when you join us in this movement. And they call it a movement. They say, no, this is a movement. This is a movement.
wow.
And that's the legacy. The legacy that we love to create every single day is know that we know and believe everyone can have their best marriage, their best business, their best health, their best joy, peace, and contentment. We believe that can be in every home, that's what God designed us to live full, a full, joyful life. And so even when challenges come, and there's going to be lots of challenges in life. Listen, we have lots of challenges in life, but it's different when you like have this armor of joy, peace, and contentment. It really does just bounce off you like water off a duck's back.
This week on Women Who Rise, I'm joined by John Jubilee, founder of Energized Health, and this conversation goes much deeper than business. We talk about what it really means to rebuild your life from the inside out, why most people try to fix the symptoms instead of the root, and how your energy, your mindset, and your health can change everything about the way you lead and live. If you've ever felt like you're capable of more strength, more clarity, more purpose, this episode will challenge the way you think about growth at every level. This is a conversation about rising in business, in life, and in yourself. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Women Who Rise. I'm your host, Heather Mancy. Today, I'm joined by John Jubilee, founder of Energized Health, a fast-growing wellness company built on the belief that true transformation starts at the cellular level, in the mind, the body, and the spirit. John's journey began with a personal breakthrough that turned into a mission to help others reclaim their health, their energy, and their purpose. And that mission has grown into a national movement focused on living stronger with every passing year. Through his work, he teaches that real success in business and life doesn't come from fixing symptoms, but from rebuilding the foundation. Today, we're going to talk about what it really takes to rise, not just professionally, but physically, mentally, and spiritually. John, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, I'm honored to be here, Heather.
So I want to just jump right in. You often talk about transformation starting from the inside out, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually. When you look back at the very beginning of your own career, what early experiences shaped your belief that real growth starts at the foundational level?
Well, Heather, I'll share a quick story that started at a really young age, and this is part of what shaped me. I had a heroic. My hero in life is my mother, and my mom. You talk about women who rise. My mom was a teenager. She's a teenager. She had my brother. Then she was pregnant with me, and her husband decided he did not want a second child as a with a teenage wife. Took her to have me aborted. She thought she was at a doctor's appointment. She heroically, jumps off the table, runs out. Now she's a single mom, 2 kids, no high school diploma. And, fast forward, my mom would not take government assistance. She would not take food stamps. She just went out there and hustled and worked. And so she was a hardworking mom and just heroic, raising, boys on her own. And back then, you had to work, probably 80 hours a week, to make that work. But my mother, instilled in me, work ethic, that
Wow.
poverty is only a decision if you choose to, stay in that. So I started working at 9 years old. My mother went on to have two more kids, and my little sister was severely handicapped. And so, they said she would never walk, and she wore those Forrest Gump braces, on her legs, and kids made fun of her and called her squeaky. And of course, I took her to the bus stop and beat those kids up every day. That would make fun of my little sister. but my
Good
little
brother.
sister, I saw something in her. So it put a drive in my heart. I wanted my sister to be healthy. And this would become one of my core values of life, because I saw the struggle, the physical struggle of my little sister, but yet I saw this mindset in her. She was a tenacious little girl who would do everything she could. She had all these surgeries, they didn't work, and they said the best she'd ever do was these braces. But Heather, at middle school, so my sister just one day just took those braces off. Like I can't even make this story up, but I saw
Uh-huh.
this with my own eyes. She took those braces off, and she would walk one step and fall flat on her face, and walk another step. And I'd love to tell you that, in just a few weeks, man, she was walking. But no, Heather, this went on for 2 years.
Oh my
My little
gosh.
sister looked like she was beaten, abused, and hit by a truck. She was black and blue. She
My
was
gosh.
black and blue from
Wow.
head to toe. But by time she got to high school, she would only fall about once every other day. And no one knew she was handicapped. No one knew she could not physically walk. But seeing my little sister just go through the struggle, but what really helped her overcome, it wasn't the physical, it was her mindset. Her mental mindset was, I am going to walk whether I am physically able or not.
Wow.
And my sister went on to, not only finish, high school, she got married, she homeschooled four kids. If you met her today, you would never know that she was handicapped. And yet, if you saw her at a swimming pool, you'd look at her legs and say, that's impossible that
Yeah.
human being is walking. And so that
Wow.
put something in me from a young age, that I realized it's not just your physicality. There really is a connection of the mindset and our spirit. I saw that in my little sister.
Wow. What an amazing story, and so inspiring that, while this may not have worked for everyone in her condition, and it's not at all to, to speak against those who maybe have not been able to forge that path, just the fact that you saw this incredible tenacity in the women in your life, in your mom, in your sister, and also that you were able to witness how indeed what we do can have a massive impact, but that it might take a long time, and also that how we envision ourselves and our future, like with your mom who said, I don't want to take assistance, I want to figure this out on my own. My own mother ended up having to take some assistance, but you know we we didn't understand it at the time. And she broke down crying the one time she picked up a food box, because she couldn't stand it that she had gotten to that point, because she never wanted to. So I understand that mindset of just going like, I don't want to be part of this. I want to be going up. And even if you have to do it once or whatever, or you come so close, but it's that, like you say, it was her determination to make the decision that she did not want to remain in poverty, and that she would be tenacious and figure out what it took to manage that you guys would have what you needed. What an inspiring story also to hear about how and why you were able to understand that there's a connection to our body. And doctors talk about this all the time. If we study centenarians, they talk about how a positive attitude is oddly something, that and socializing is oddly something that they identify in all those blue zones. So I absolutely love this conversation. I'm so excited for what else you have to share with us. My next question is around your journey. So I know that it took you from personal discovery to building energized health into a fast growing national company. Was there a defining moment when you realized that your work wasn't just about your own success, but about a mission that you personally felt called to pursue?
Yeah. No, 1,000%. Yeah, and just real quickly, yeah, my journey was, I was, in your business. I was on the banking side, and so I had a lot of, great success and early success. My very first year, I was the number one mortgage lender in my state. I did more transactions, than anybody. And there's something to that too, by the way, of I didn't know what I was doing, but I was doing a lot of it because I had a mindset of, just get out there and do what you know how to do. Don't worry about what you don't know. So even though I did not have the experience, I had two things that I would encourage everybody to always make sure, no matter how successful you get in business, focus on, you always can control your own attitude and your own actions. Those are two things we are always in control of. What is my attitude? What is my action? So every day I made at least 30 calls a day. I was looking for 27 no's every single day. That was my action that I had control of. And of course, I had an awesome and amazing attitude. And so my attitude
Yes.
every time I got a no was yes. I'm on my
Yes.
way to I'm on my way to a yes. I'm looking for 27 no's today. And I really just strapped it up every day, and did that. And then I went on to become one of the top, I was always in the top 10 for about 20 years, in the mortgage industry. So I was a high producer, always had a lot of joy, had a lot of enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is magnetic. Everyone wants to be around someone enthusiastic. So watch out that your experience can be the diluter of your enthusiasm. I'm saying it again, enthusiasm. If you want to keep your enthusiasm, don't let your experience dilute your enthusiasm because you get so good or so knowledgeable. And so
Yes.
those things, that was my foundation of my mortgage. But guys, guess what happened? you know, I got rich, I got famous. I was on the cover of magazines and I would speak to 5,000 bankers at all the banking conventions, and I got a banker belly. I had the Santa Claus thing going on there. Thank God for
Yes.
suit coats, to cover that up. But I also
Yep.
was bone on bone in my knees. And so I had all this pain. So in the midst of my frustration of, how many of you guys have tried exercise programs or supplements, or I tried everything money could buy, Heather,
Yes.
for 10 years. And
Wow.
all I discovered was nothing was sustainable. It was all
Yeah.
what I call false hope for sale. And so I was buying it because I was desperate. I'd have bought anything, man. Give it to me. I will try it because I was so desperate. But in my desperation, I went and did my own research. Finally at the end of my rope, at the end of 10 years and, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, I said, look, there has to be something that's real for my health to transform this. And so I went and researched thousands of pages of science, medical studies, and I came up with a protocol for myself. And this is really to your question, but I thought it was just for me. I thought this was just for me. So I created a cellular health. I realized we're just like a big bag of cells and water. That's all we are. We're a big bag of water and cells. If our cells can get healthy, we can get healthy. So I created a cellular health protocol to push hydration into my cells, and it worked. And so in 88 days, I looked like a different human. I felt like a different human. 88 days is a cellular cycle of a human body. And I really thought it was for me until for the next 11 years, Heather, 11 years, thousands of people were coming to me. And at first it was one, two, three, four, five, but then it turned into 10, 20, 50. It multiplied. For the next 11 years, all these people were coming to me because they saw what happened to me and said, John, can you help me? And just fill in the blank. You know, they had autoimmune disorders, they had diverticulitis, spinal stenosis, rheumatoid arthritis, diabetes, high blood pressure, whatever they had. And I had one answer for 11 years. I don't know. Let's see. Because I never wanted to give someone false hope, Heather. I
Yes.
only wanted to speak
Yeah.
100% truth. And so I would
Yes.
say, I don't know, let's see. But for 11 years, I never saw one person not reverse their physical ailment. And every person gained healthy hydration. So they didn't lose any water. They gained lean muscle mass. They gained their lean muscle and they all lost their fat. So this became the experience of thousands of people for 11 years. And listen, I would like to say I figured this out on my own, but we need people in our life. And I was meeting with a high level group of Eagles business guys in Franklin, Tennessee, every Friday morning from 5 to 7 a.m. We would meet. And these men began to speak into me saying, John, you need to go full time in health and wellness. Like
Yeah.
you are going to change the world. No one knows the science you know. No one can do what you can do. You got to go do this. And I would just laugh it off and say, are you guys out of your mind? Like I'm one of the top 10 bankers in America for 20
Yeah.
years. You know, I can do in my sleep and be successful. I love what I do. But one day, the big dog, the most successful guy in our group, I'm not going to name drop him. Everyone in your audience would know this guy, by the way. But this guy sat me down, knee to knee, toe to toe, like sitting right beside me on this couch. And he's pointing his finger in my face for like an hour and a half. It's like, John Jubilee, you have to go full time in health and wellness. You are going to change the world. You know, you can make people well. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I have 800 employees. I will give you my whole staff for free. This is your God calling. And I walked out of his office that day, Heather, and I said a simple prayer. I just said, God, are you speaking to me through, and I said the guy's name. And I really felt like God said, yes, I am. And I said, well, what does that look like? He said, we're going to do this. I said, what is this? He said, you just walk open handed. I'm going to put every connection in your hand. I'm going to give you every resource. You're going to go make people healthy. And in 72 hours, that was like a calling. It was like a God calling in life that no, my real calling was to go make people healthy. I gave away my business in 72 hours. And that was 18 years ago. I've been doing this now 29 years.
Oh my gosh, 29 years. And that's something I didn't understand because obviously we've met a couple times. I've seen you speak on stages twice to a, rapt audience that, was absolutely energized by your message. And I know, incredible people that have really greatly benefited from your protocols as well. And I did not realize that 29 years because that first 11, you were really kind of doing it off the cuff. You were just kind of sort of experimenting and helping people as you could. I really love what you said about let's see, because you understood that you weren't a doctor. You weren't really sure if it was going to help them in whatever condition they had. But the fact that you saw a marked difference for everyone that you assisted in this cellular hydration process, is absolutely incredible. Well, I want to talk about maybe one or two specific stories of, people that you worked with. Obviously, we don't have to name names, but that, had benefits and how it worked for them and also what your protocol is, because I think that, the science, theory and everything, it can be confusing. But you did mention there's 88 days is one cellular cycle and you're talking about incredible hydration. But man, you talk about people with knee issues and midlife and things like that. My population of listeners of women, once we hit a certain age, it's like our health just falls off a cliff due to the leaving of all of our major hormones in our body. Men age much more slowly. And so what's interesting, I think, for my population, why I was so excited to have you speak to the audience is that I know we are looking for every kind of thing that can solve our aches and pains, our hydration issues, dry eyes, you name it, because the master switches in our brain called hormones are just not hanging out, and we get to figure out how to deal with life without them. And by the way, that's another conversation I'll have with one of the Breccas. But but let's talk a little bit about how you can help or have in fact helped maybe some females and what it all is about.
Yeah, no, I will love to share this. And interestingly, and by the way, I love the Breccas. I love the Breccas. I actually, that was the first time I had ever met the Breccas.
Yes.
And I'm delighted to say, yeah, the first words when I met Gary Brecka, he looked at me and he said, "I am a fan."
Oh my
he
gosh.
said, he said, "I am a fan." He said, "I love what you teach about the cell." He said, "People don't know what you know." He said, "I'm a fan." And I said, "Well, we are fans." I said, "We are fans of yours." Yeah, we absolutely love the Breckas. And something I will share, I'm not a doctor. However, our program is medically approved. Our program is fully medically approved. So over the last 18 years, I have trained hundreds of doctors on the science of intracellular hydration. So we have the only patent pending science in the world.
Oh
So
my gosh.
doctors from the Mayo Clinic and the Cleveland Clinic and some of the most famous clinics in the world, they have become the student of our science. There's many
That's
doctors.
phenomenal.
There's another famous doctor on the, there's famous doctors on the internet. They sell health protocols and they're not medically approved. They're doctors and they're not medically approved. So to be medically approved, you have to document that you have medical efficacy, that your health protocol reverses ailments and diseases, and that you increase hydration, that you increase lean muscle, and that you cause people to lose fat. That's medical efficacy. 99% of every diet out there, you lose hydration, you lose lean muscle, and you lose a little bit of fat, but you're losing your hydration and your muscle. So when you lose 10 pounds, you don't know what you lost. You probably lost mostly water and muscle. But at Energized Health, our clients, if you go on our website, you'll see people that'll say, "I gained 17 pounds of muscle and hydration. I lost 58 pounds of fat." So they know exactly because we measure it and we're fully medically approved. And those doctors look at us and say, "Hey, you guys cracked the code." No, you cracked the code because as medical doctors, we are trained to treat a symptom. You guys are going to the root cause. And so that's the big difference at Energized Health is we are going to the root cause. We're reducing and taking out the inflammation. We're taking the toxins out. But let me just share something that your ladies are going to love. So I was invited into a medical study and I was assigned 138 women patients who were perimenopausal, menopausal, and postmenopausal. And so I had 138 women. And I'm happy to just share with you that I
Yes.
had 138 success stories. So all of my women got back their full energy. They got rid of all of their symptoms that they were dealing with, whatever it was. So if it was mood swings, if it was night sweats, if it was they couldn't lose their little muffin top that they
Yeah.
had, all the things that their doctors had told them, "Hey, this is just part of aging. You're just going to have to deal with it." No, we reversed it 138 out of 138 times. And you could go look on our website and see women from, they were in their mid 30s, perimenopausal, to women that were 60 and they were fully postmenopausal. They lost all their, they had lost all their sex drive. They became a different person because of their mood swings and because of their hormones, not because of them. It wasn't their fault.
Right.
But
Exactly.
these women, their husbands all became my new best friend. They said, "Hey, I got a girl running around my house I haven't seen for 20 years.
Oh
She
my
got her
gosh.
sex drive back. She got her energy back. She got her vitality back. Like I would give you $1 million if I had it." So we've had a lot of great success with helping women to get back their true self, get back their joy, get back their queen. We call it getting back your queen. Get your queen back of being who you're really designed to be. And then listen what happened. So after 138 success stories, of course, we're all excited and we're waiting to get our congratulations from the medical community. And what did I get? I got excused from the study. They excused me. They kicked me out of the study. And so one of the doctors called me and he said, Mr. Jubilee, I'm sure you're wondering why you were excused from the study. I said, wondering? I said, did you see my patients? I am 138 and 0 of success stories. My ladies gained back their muscle. They lost all their fat. They got their energy. They got their sex drive. They're sleeping amazing. I said, how could I be excused from the study? He said, well, this study was designed to prove women have to have HRT. They have to have hormone replacement therapy. And you are skewing the result because none of your women needed hormone replacement therapy. That's why they excused you from the study. So Heather, that's what I say. That's when I learned there was no Santa Claus. I did not want to be one of the conspiracy theorists. I say that like this because,
Sure.
99% of conspiracy theory means you're really true. You're on the right track. I didn't want to believe the medical community was really that evil that they just want to hammer us with these drugs and to make sure that we stay on meds and we get on meds and we're medication slaves. I didn't want to believe that was really true. But when that happened to me in that study, my eyes were opened and I realized, okay, it really is an evil it's just an evil plan against us as people to make us think we have to be on medication, that we have to be slaves to that system. But I'm here to share with people, hey, I am 29 years, not one day of sickness in 29 years. And more importantly, I have tens of thousands of clients who have gotten off all their medication, who are medication free, who are living their best lives in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, at full power and at full strength. That's what's really possible. I believe that for every person listening to us today, that is possible for you.
Incredible. Yeah. And, honestly, I've had great friends in pharmaceutical and all of it. And it's that it genuinely is a business and it is a for-profit business in our country. My husband is from Belgium and it's not. So back in the 80s, and it was, difficult legislation at the time, but their medical system was declared, through voting by the government and of the population to be not-for-profit. And so because it's a not-for-profit system, from the top down, it's just a very different situation. And, their medical research and everything, it's in a different way. They may still be dealing with certain, pharmaceutical bias and other things like that because they're just tools that they know. And other tools are not maybe as apparent. But in fact, I've been to the doctor there many times and we visited there for the last 26 years that we're together. And, the first thing they offer you is like vitamin C or, get some rest or whatever. They're not in a massive hurry to prescribe antibiotics or do other things like that. They're more trying to support your body. So it is very interesting to see how country to country or place to place, it is absolutely a business. And if someone's paying for that study, then, they're probably looking to figure out if they have something to sell or not. And I think it shouldn't be that way, but it is unfortunately that way. And it is wild to follow the money and see how that is. I'm all for supporting the body as a biohacker, stated emerging biohacker myself. I could say I was biohacker curious, that I spent a lot of time looking into health because I had a mom who, herself, a long time ago, wouldn't keep a bag of sugar in the house for the full 19 years that I grew up. She just would not do it. And I think it's fascinating and amazing that, yes, we can support the body and that we can make it work out. You have said that true change happens when the mind, body, and spirit are aligned. What daily habits or disciplines have helped you stay in that alignment while leading a rapidly growing, quickly global business?
Yeah, well, well, let me shine a little light on my beautiful bride, Chelsea here. So my beautiful wife, wife Chelsea is more beautiful on the inside than the outside, and
Mm.
she is brilliant. She is a rock star businesswoman. And by the way, she is, she started out 19 years old as a real estate broker. And
Ah,
so she was a real estate broker. Then she opened a mortgage company. She owned 5 homes in California, which they're not cheap here, guys. She personally owned 5 homes by the time she was 23 years old. So she is a rock star, in her own right. And she really is 2 years. So I was doing this all these years. 8 years ago, Chelsea and I, we have a miracle love story. I raised 5 children as a single dad. 2 of them were adopted African American sons. And when you have 5 kids, 2 of them are African American, you will be single for a while because no woman wants all that drama. So
they
I
don't want to
raised
jump
five.
straight into a daycare, I guess. Yes.
Yeah, right. So no, that's not daycare. That's like WWF wrestling.
Okay.
No, when I had 4 boys and a girl. So they were
That's
all,
amazing.
wild. They were all big, strapping, football players, basketball
Oh,
players, and but I raised 5 kids as a single dad, and then miraculously, once they were up and out, I was looking for a wife, and Chelsea was writing a book on cellular trauma because Chelsea had a
wow.
revelation of cellular trauma because from the time she was 5 to 12 years old, she was physically, sexually abused, hundreds and hundreds of times. So she had all of this cellular trauma in her life. And so she was on a journey of her own health, of her making her spirit healthy and whole from all of this trauma that happened to her as a little
Gosh.
girl.
Yeah.
And so she was writing a book. She was looking for a chapter of the connection of the physical to it. And she ends up interviewing me for that last chapter of her book. And so during this interview, I had it, I really felt like God said, "See that woman? That's your wife." I said, "Nice pick."
Wow.
you know. And so we didn't really date. I was speaking in 5 or 6 cities a week back then, flying all over the country and giving my talks on intracellular hydration, how this transforms you, mind, body, and spirit, how you can really get healthy, never be sick. And so while I'm traveling, though, all we did was we just talked on the phone. We just talked on the phone for 4 months. And 4 months
Uh,
later, I was back in LA and she said, "God said you have a beautiful heart. You'd be a great husband." I said, "That sounds like a proposal to me. Let's get married." And so we got
yes.
married. So we never really dated. We just talked on the phone. We got married. So that was 8 years ago. So we married our science. We married our science. And then Chelsea had 2 multi-million-dollar companies. She closed them down and said, "I want to come do this with you." So that was really the birth of Energized Health. And and 2 years ago, I made Chelsea the CEO. And the first year she was CEO, we were number 364 on the Inc. 5000. So we weren't Inc. 5000, we were Inc. 500, the 364th fastest growing company in America out of 20 million companies, by the way.
What
And then we
amazing.
made it again. So back to
Yes.
back. So since she was the CEO, we were back to back fastest growing company in America. So my wife
Oh my
is a rock star, but she really laid the foundation of bringing us to another level too with the mind body spirit connection. That no, we have to, if we have had perpetrators in our life or people that betrayed us, let us down, we have to release and forgive them. We have to release and forgive them. And so this is one of the core values that we teach at Energized Health is, and we walk people through a very specific exercise of here's how you identify who's betrayed you in your life, who has caused cellular trauma in your life, and how do you truly, it's one thing to say you forgive, but you also have to release. So that is, it's like taking a tumor. It's like taking a tumor of unforgiveness or a tumor of betrayal. It's an extraction out of your body and releasing it. And then choosing to replace that, by speaking words of life. The Bible says life and death are in the power of the tongue. And so every day,
Hmm.
we teach our clients, hey, we need to speak words of life. There's already been all this science proven that cells transform through the power of words. Words will transform a cell at the cellular level. And so we teach all of these principles. How do you think different thoughts? How do you
Yes.
speak different words? And then how do you form different daily habits? Our daily habits do determine our destiny. Destiny doesn't come because you put something on a vision board or you write some great goal. No, it's all about your daily habit. Your daily habit will take care of your destiny, all by itself. When you are doing the right things one day at a time, it's just like, I heard Michael Jordan say something. He never planned on being the greatest basketball player of all time, but he does say he was the greatest daily practicer of all time.
Yes.
Every day he practiced like it was life and death, like it was the most important thing. His daily habits made him the greatest of all time. And we teach those principles for the mind, the body, and the spirit.
Well, John, this is absolutely amazing. I mean, you've just given us so much wisdom right now, and I would say it's so consistent with many of the top performers that come onto this show, which is that you've got to have daily self care. You've got to have some sort of agreement between your mind, your past. You've got to be able to figure out how to bring these things, get them, keep them in the past, be able to create your present, be able to have daily habits that support you, be able to understand that words, in fact, how you talk about yourself, how you communicate with the world around you, that they are extremely powerful. Um, it's just fascinating. And this whole, love story between you and your wife, about, two sides of the same, or similar cellular science. That's absolutely extraordinary. And I'm find myself so happy for you guys. It's just incredible. And the fact that, by bringing her on as CEO, and I mean, to be listed on the Inc., 1000 or Inc. 500 is unbelievable. And I just want to applaud your success. And I can hear the enthusiasm with which you are able to, and it's why, by the way, you are such a dynamic speaker on stage. And like I said, I've just, been absolutely awed by you the couple of times I've seen you on stage, in front of thousands. It is absolutely thrilling. So I want to talk a little bit about, you speak often about energy, longevity, and living with purpose at every stage of life. So, hey, if you can take that cellular trauma, which I think is, what is it? 1 in 4 women in America have had some sort of, abuse, or sexual abuse in their background. It is something people don't often talk about, and they certainly aren't going to use, a success platform like this show to talk about it. But honestly, it has to be, because the statistic is 25%. It's extraordinary, a very sad statistic. And so if you can get that cellular trauma, if you can deal with it, if you can get it out of yourself, if you can put that past back in the past, then when you talk about, the future, energy, longevity, who you are today, living with purpose at every stage of life, how do you teach people to maintain, and how do you personally maintain that level of energy and clarity while carrying such a responsibility? Because, and I can't remember exactly, you've shared your age before, but you look like a very young midlife, 45 year old man. And I don't think, if I remember, that that's the case.
No, so I love to talk about both these topics. So first of all, yeah, I'm 65. I'm
Oh my
65
gosh.
years young, and I was so excited to turn 65. My wife said, "I never saw anybody so excited to turn 65." I said, "Honey, it's great for it's great for our marketing." um, so no, it's one of the super fun things. Just on a fun note, I carry my driver's license in my right hand pocket every day. I get asked for my license multiple times every day. People don't believe me when I tell them how old I am. I show them my driver's license. um, and guys, I'm all natural. No testosterone, no HEH, no fillers. That's like my real face. Even though I live in California. So uh, but I'm thrilled to be able to inspire people that no, it's just a reflection of when your organs are healthy. Your skin is your body's largest organ, so you're going to look younger. You just are going to look younger because your skin is going to look great. But on this other topic for men and women. So look, men are really ashamed to share that they were sexually molested when they were little boys. They're ashamed. But a lot of high level successful men are men who were molested as little boys. And that's part of they overcompensate because of what happened to them. It creates that trauma, but it also makes them want to
there are many
overcompensate
stories
to be more successful. And by the way, when you say that 25% statistic, that's a real statistic, but that's women that admit it, right? So how many women?
Yes.
It could be half. It could be 1 in 3. It's probably more than are really reporting it. And so I want to encourage everyone that's had that. And look, I have my own cellular trauma. There's an ACE study, and I'd recommend everybody go take it for yourself. It's your adverse childhood experiences. It's an ACE study.
Okay.
It takes a couple minutes, but it's where your parents divorced, was anyone incarcerated, all this. The worst score you can have is a 10. My score is a 9. My score is a 9. I grew up in horrific poverty and danger and violence. 5 of my friends were murdered. Both of my brothers were murdered. I grew up in a very poverty-stricken, violent, dangerous lifestyle my whole life. But here's what I want to encourage everybody.
Yes.
That's like getting hit by a bus. Yeah. When you get hit by a bus, you got hit by a bus. So if you got sexually molested, if your parents got a divorce, if they were abusive to you, that's not your fault. You got hit by a bus. So now you have to get up. Now you have to do your next right thing. How do you recover? How do you do your mental therapy, your spiritual therapy, and your physical therapy to take the daily steps to become the true best you? And I want to give you 2 words to really meditate on, which is contentment, peace, and joy. Like that is the secret of life. If you can have true contentment, true peace, and true joy, that is optimal health at the cellular level. That's being healthy. Listen, there's a lot of people that eat a perfect diet and they drop dead at 65 years old. They're dead when they're my age. They were eating a perfect diet. They were training. They were doing, but why did they drop dead? Because they didn't have those 3 things. They did not have contentment. They didn't have peace. They didn't have joy. Those are the real powerhouse secrets of longevity. And physically, let me tell you this, longevity is tied to one thing, guys, one thing, strength. The stronger you are, the longer and better you are going to live. And because I know that's true, I'll just tell you guys a fun story. And also, this proves daily habits. So 29 years ago, I started living healthy. I could lift about 200 pounds, which is okay, for a man. It's not super strong, but it's okay. But I could bench press 200 pounds 29 years ago. Well, every year I tried to just go up about 10 pounds a year. Think about it. That's not even a pound a month. That's not even a pound a month of increase. A pound, that's like a big size hamburger, right? But those daily habits of just going up a tiny bit at a time. Last year, I set the world record for chest press. I did 555 pounds. Yes, I'm the world record holder. I did 555 pounds 14 times. I tripled my body weight, 14 reps. Now, I'm sharing this to share the science and the power of daily habits with you. I'm not a weightlifting guy. I'm a health guy. But I'm also a daily habit guy. So because I'm a daily habit guy, I just sort of, after the fact, became one of the strongest guys in the world. Now, the strongest guy in the world was there. He's 440 pounds. His name is Julius Maddox. He's a personal friend. And he does 795 1 rep. And this
Okay.
guy looked at me and he said, John, you're the strongest guy in the world. I said, Julius, you're the strongest guy in the world. I only did five. He goes, John, I do it one time. He goes, you did 555 14 times, triple your body weight. But I share that to inspire people that at any
Yeah.
age, it was not on my dream board that when I'm a senior citizen, I'm going to set a world record. That was not on my dream board. But what was I doing? I was doing these daily habits that just made me a tiny bit stronger every single day. And so can I just encourage you, more focus, not on your dream board, but
Yeah.
on your daily habits. And no matter what has happened to you in your past, if people betrayed you, if they lied to you, if they left you, if they abandoned you, you can still choose to say this. So what? Now what? So what? Now what? You get to choose your now what. You get to choose your action steps to move forward in life and powerfully become the real person you were designed to be. Nobody can stop you from having your peace, from having your contentment, from having your joy and fulfilling your real destiny. You get to choose those daily action steps.
So powerful. I mean, just absolutely amazing. This is one of those conversations, I know it's going to change lives. And first of all, I had no idea about the 555 pounds. When I think about just the fact you're talking about, the number one thing for longevity is strength. I mean, Peter Attia, is constantly talking about the sarcopenia, muscle loss, and the fact that if you fall and you have, poor muscle and those kinds of things, you might break a hip. If you break a hip, it's something like a 30% chance you will die within, 6 months or 3 months or whatever it is. It's not, this is a critical need in all of us. And, we've been sold this idea of cardio, cardio, cardio. If you look at, a gym and all the classes, it's usually the guys pumping weight on the floor and then all the women are up in, yoga or on the treadmill or doing some sort of cardio. But I think we have to move away from that and realize that, strong women are healthy women. And that, we need to be out there lifting weights too, doing some sort of resistance or strength training. And I say this, by the way, to myself, because I have historically not done that. Housework and that kind of thing is probably where I'm getting most of my weightlifting, lifting my boys and those kinds of things through the years. And it's funny because being a mom will certainly make you stronger, at least with your arm muscles. But yeah, just this idea that we need to be focusing on that. Absolutely loved as well what you talked about. The three words: contentment, peace, and joy. And to really ask ourselves, do a gut check. Do you really have that? And do you have that in all the areas of your life that you want that? Mental, physical, spiritual, your career, your job, whatever it is. But absolutely incredible. And I love the ACE study, this idea that you mentioned, and Leo Pareja, who was on here not long ago, mentioned that it's a very interesting statistic, but, I think it's 70% or something. I can't remember the statistic of the, world leaders have had one or both parents pass away before the age of 15. There is a similar statistic in prisons. They both had this, shocking experience. And it's, like you said, with the so what, now what, a chunk of those went off into, massive overcompensating with, just achieving. And then the others ended up, falling into, somehow very disadvantaged life. And it's them dealing with this childhood trauma differently. And so I love that you're talking about this, because it's, if you look, it's a large percentage of the population has had some sort of childhood trauma. Well, so I want to talk here about many women listening are trying to rise into leadership. We have a lot of realtors, but we also have people in corporate life and things like that. They're also rebuilding themselves in some way, physically, emotionally, professionally. Maybe they've been through a divorce. Maybe they're raising children, and that's taking a lot of their time. From what you've seen, What has to change internally before someone can truly step into that next level of their life?
No, I love this. And again, I'm just going to shine a beautiful spotlight on my awesome and amazing wife, Chelsea here, because she really lives this. She really lives this. Now, by the way, we have twin boys, 11, twin 11-year olds, and they're wild men. They're wild men. And we have a 14-year-old daughter, and of course, she's high drama. She's high drama. With her and her mom, but they have a beautiful relationship. They hang out. They do something together every day, and but it still is what it is, right? So girls are just that. And so I can tell you, when I raised 4 boys and a girl, that one girl was more work than all 4 boys. So they can do that. But I'm telling you, my wife, realize she's running and growing a big company with a lot of responsibility, but she is also a real mom and a wife. So so she is like the whole package. She is the poster child for the ladies that are watching this show. I mean, my wife gets up, she fixes breakfast for those kids, she takes them to school, and then she comes to work with me. And then so she's doing her work stuff. But guess what? At 2:30, she's picking those kids up from school. So now she's picking them up from school. She's out in the driveway playing basketball. She's out there playing basketball with the kids. She gets in her mom mode. There really is a way, if you will, because it sounds like at first you think, well, there's no way I can balance all this stuff. But there
Yes.
really is. When you create systems in your life, and the systems all start with priorities. You prioritize. So my wife prioritizes me as a husband, and she's amazing at it. She really is. She makes sure, we have lots of hugs and kisses all throughout the day, by the way. It's all throughout the day. We make sure that we are connecting. We'll take 10 or 15 minutes and we'll just go, we got a swing, one of those swinging chairs by our pool, and we'll sit
Yeah.
there and, we'll connect. But she is very intentional, takes care of me, takes care of those kids, takes care of the business, but she keeps her priority. And this is
Yes.
just kind of a fun side note, but I'm going to tell you guys some family business here. So when
Yeah.
Chelsea and so I do like 5 national TV shows every week. And of course, our team tracks everything. And so when Chelsea comes on TV with me, which is almost never, by the way, but if she does come on television with me, we get a 25% bump. Like, people love her, So we get a 25% bump. Now, when your company is making millions of dollars, 25% is a lot. And so it's a fun joke. It's a fun joke between Chelsea and I because I tease her. I say, honey, you're an awesome mom, and your value of a mom to those kids is millions of dollars. Because we would be making millions more. We'd be making millions more if she was not in the driveway playing basketball or picking them up from school. But that is where she set the values. No, she's going to be the mom. She's not going to have any regrets when she, looks back. But she is great at prioritizing. So when she works, she's all about it, right? She's 100%. She's all in. She's focused. She's fully present. And I just want to encourage all the women out there who feel overwhelmed. Hey, sometimes you got to just set a hard boundary of honoring yourself and respecting your time of what really is valuable to you, and saying, no, yep, maybe I could sell an extra house here or an extra house there, but it's not worth it to me to not have the marriage. And I mean it. I say this, we have a 1 in a billion marriage. We have peace. We have joy. We have contentment. We have laughter and real love, real true intimacy in our marriage, and in our relationship with our kids. Like, we have one of the most beautiful flows. And I want to encourage people today, everyone can have it. I believe you can have it. So it's kind of like No, but you can have what we have if you do what we do. So if you're willing to do what Chelsea does, if you're willing to honor yourself as a woman and say, hey, I am a wife, I am a mom, and I can choose when I'm working, I'm going to be intense and I'm going to be fully present and I'm going to work hard, but I'm also going to be the wife I want to be and I'm going to be the mom I want to be. You really can have it all. You can have it all. But you know what? It may mean, yeah, maybe financially, you're not making this, but you're still making this. You're still in the top 1%, by the way. My wife is a
Right.
one percenter. She's still in the
Right.
top 1%, but she has the whole package. And I really believe every woman can have that.
Yeah, this is such a great message at this moment because, you know, having boys of my own, I mean, now they're 23 and almost 21. And I understood somewhere about a decade ago, as I was in a very busy real estate career, had launched my team, did a lot of things. And I realized that this amount of time that I was going to have with my sons was really finite. And that having them in the household in particular, because I started having kids just on the cusp of 30, whereas I had many friends who had them in their early 20s, they were then morning empty nesters. They were going through this shock of, suddenly not having them in the home. And while there's pros and cons to that for them, and, they were just absorbing that. And I realized that this was going to be happening at some point. And I artificially suppressed the number of transactions that I would do or the amount of time that I could spend at work because and in fact, I stood up in a room once at a very intensive coaching retreat with 150 other team or brokerage owners in the room, and I said, "You guys have to realize you can give yourself permission because it's all about production and volume and all these things in the real estate world, but your life matters too, and just because you can." Be a really high performing individual does not mean at all that you need to max out that capacity because we all have 24 hours in a day, and how you choose to spend those is going to be something you're looking back on, and you're going to want to make some choices here because it's true, there's a section of the population, they're working as much as they need to work to put food on the table, and that might be 18 hours a day. I mean, it might be insane because they're at an earning capacity that is quite low, but we're talking about people that are middle class and beyond, where you can literally make choices. And those choices, will govern the things that you look back on, the memories that you have, and the amount of times maybe in a day that you can see your kids or be there. And I know I chose to be there for the parties, be there to help at school. And I would tell a client no. I would always say it skillfully, but I think I want to give every mom permission here that if you have something that you'd rather be there for your kids, your clients don't need to know what that is. You can just say, oh, you know what, I do have a 2 p.m. appointment, but I can take care of you at 5, or 10 a.m. tomorrow. It's just they don't need to know you're going to your son's soccer game. But if you want to be there for that, and our family has prioritized travel and things as well. So I absolutely love that you spoke about that, and spoke about that as a man and as a husband to be able to say, we need to support what it is that our family needs, and that we need to understand just how precious and finite that can be. And I also love to say that I have a dream marriage and family. We're going in 12 directions right now. I've got 2 sons in college. I've got one who's starting an internship, and my husband and I both have high powered careers. But once a day, we're eating a meal together. We're hanging out. We're maybe watching a quick show together. And and we're spending time together on weekends. And it's like,
So
we all
good.
understand, and our boys are raised in that. So they know and they desire that every day. We're not forcing them and twisting their arm at their age. We're actually able to have them go, hey, mom, I'm on my way. I'll be there at whatever time from a late college class. Boy, are we lucky. But it's because we raised them to value family time as much as we did, and we always made it fun. It is, by the way, phenomenal that you have built the empire you have, that your wife and you have the pleasure of being able to work on the same thing together, that you met in the passion of being able to research this, this health and how the cellular health impacts us, that you're doing 5 TV shows a week. I just want to thank you for your time today, to thank you for your wisdom, to appreciate you for all that you do, because one thing is so evident when I listen to you, and now this is time number 3, twice on a stage, once on this show, your enthusiasm, your genuine kindness, your passion, your grace for helping others, your willingness to tell your own story, your willingness to share Chelsea's story and for her to allow you to. These are hard things that you guys have come through, and you are here to share it with us. You've dedicated, the last 29, I think, years of your life to helping others in this way. And I encourage our clients or our viewers here to have a chance to go on the website to check out things. Where can they find you? How can they learn from you? How can they become and optimize their own health, John?
Yeah, so I just want to encourage people today that, again, I truly believe you can have your best health at any age, at any age. So yeah, we have a 92-year-old couple that signed up. This guy gained 15 pounds of solid muscle, 92 years old. His wife at 92, after she did her 88-day transformation, she ran for mayor of her city in Tennessee, and was elected mayor at 93 years old. She said, I'm smarter than these young whippersnappers, John, and now I got my energy. I'm going to do something with my life.
Oh my gosh.
So you can do it. You can do it at any age. You can optimize. So, but just go on the website. It's energizedhealth.com, just like you see maybe above me there, energizedhealth.com, and watch a short masterclass, 15 minutes with Chelsea and I, kind of let you know what it's about. And then just book a call with one of our coaches. So we have no salespeople at our company, believe it or not. People say, how do you guys do that with no sales team? We have no sales and no marketing. At Energized Health, all we do is share real stories of tens of thousands of real people who changed their life. And many of them are doctors, by the way. You'll see their stories even on our website. But just book a call. And a lot of our coaches that you'll talk to are nurses, 20 and 30-year nurses. When they did this protocol, they quit nursing. They said, no, this goes to the root cause. This is why I got into nursing, to make people healthy. But if you want to optimize at every level, guys, if you want to be, I truly believe you can be your very best that you've ever been at any age, but you just have to take an action step for yourself. So just book a free call, and we would love to join you, in a journey. Again, it's a no pressure thing. We're the only 100% money back guaranteed health program that's medically approved, by the way. So medically approved programs never give you back your money. We do. We 100% stand behind what we teach because we know it's going to transform and change lives.
Fantastic. So my very last parting question for you is this. You often talk about living stronger with every passing year and building something that outlasts you. As you look ahead, what legacy do you hope Energized Health leaves, not just as a company, but as a movement that changes the way people think about life, aging, and possibility?
Well, I love this question, and I love it that you called it what all of our clients call it. We call our clients transformers, by the way. We affectionately call them our transformation nation, because they really do. They transform their mind, their body, their spirit, their marriage, their business. Everything transforms when you join us in this movement, and they call it a movement. They say, no, this is a movement. This is a movement.
Wow.
And that's the legacy. The legacy that we love to create every single day is know that we know and believe everyone can have their best marriage, their best business, their best health, their best joy, peace, and contentment. We believe that can be in every home, that's what God designed us to live, a full, joyful life. And so even when challenges come, and there's going to be lots of challenges in life. Listen, we have lots of challenges in life. But it's different when you like have this armor of joy, peace, and contentment. It really does just bounce off you like water off a duck's back. It's like
Yes, I
whatever.
think so.
It's just life.
Yes.
It it
Yes.
it's that principle of so what, now what? Like, so
Yeah.
what? I've got a lawsuit. So what? I've got tough clients. So what? We're having a
Yes.
down year. So what? COVID. Now what? No, we always get to choose our attitude and our actions. And that's what we want our legacy, that people live their most powerful, joyful, peaceful, content lives, regardless of all circumstance.
Fantastic. I love that. And I love that you mentioned, something that allows you, the words that came to me were resilience and reserve, building a resilience reserve, that allows you, like you say, that is your armor and that is your health and that is your wellness and that is your contentment and your joy and your peace. I love it. John, thank you so much for contributing to myself and our listeners today. We really, really appreciate you. I value you highly. And I just am so grateful that you spent this time with us today. And I look forward to and encourage that our listeners would reach out. Stay tuned for our recap. We'll be doing that here in just a few minutes for the audience. Well, folks, that's it for today's podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on Women Who Rise, the success podcast for ambitious women. Today, John taught us about his medically proven protocol to improve cellular health in 88 days. To find out more on that, please go to his website. We'll have links below. And he has a 15-minute masterclass video that you can go and watch. He wanted to talk to us about contentment, peace, and joy in all areas of your life and the importance of cultivating what he called those three master words to really unlock your potential, your happiness, and your ability to continue your health on into future years. He also talked about the mind-body connection, about the critical importance of releasing past trauma, which he said affected your cellular health, and that he said the keys were that you must release and forgive whatever that past trauma has been in your life as a child or at any age, whatever difficulty, whatever it is that you've been through, to be able to have that better cellular metabolism and cellular health that is going to protect you and create a well of resilience as you go forward that will make your ability to have and weather difficult times going forward with more ease. And one of the last things he talked about was the secret to longevity, period, end of story, is strength. He talked about being very strong, having weightlifting or some sort of resistance training, being able to create muscular strength. And I know this is such a thought process that's going on in the, aging and biohacking community right now, which is to say that you've got to have lean muscle on your body and that lean muscle can do so many things to help you and to support you and to allow you to thrive. And then the last thing was really attitude and actions in addition to habits. So he talked about attitudes and actions as being an absolute control that you have of your own. You can control your own attitude and actions. That is the part that you literally have within your purvey. And then daily habits that lead to your success. It's probably the strength training. It's finding time for your family. It's being able to carve out a portion of your day to be able to thrive and live and have that contentment, that peace, and that joy wherever you can find it. So that is it for today. Visit our website to find our episode guide and worksheet that will help you use these tips to take action in your own life. Please like and subscribe and join us everywhere podcasts are streamed. We can't wait to bring you more incredible content every week so that you can rise in your own lives and careers. Again, thank you so much. Heather Mancy, signing off.